Business as Unusual is a thought-provoking podcast that explores the innovative strategies, disruptive ideas, and unconventional practices driving successful leaders and companies in the ever-evolving world of modern business. Subscribe, comment, and share for weekly inspiration with our host, Aicila.
Neely is an ADHD coach and content creator who helps burnt-out, people-pleasing high achievers unlearn ableism, ditch the neurotypical cosplay, and build self-trust and compassion by designing brain-friendly systems that actually work for them. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
I've been looking forward to our chat, and I really am super aligned with what you're up to. I'm sure you know we have a mutual who introduced us. She's been on the show, Victoria, and I could see why she thought we would have a great chat. There's a challenge that you mentioned that you see often, which is that neurodivergent adults, and your obviously focus is ADHDers, can struggle with that self-trust and that self-compassion because they've been shamed frequently. That I'm putting that part in because I've seen it, and also there's a default expectation of how things need to be. Can you talk a little bit about that challenge and maybe how you approach it, and also like an example of what that looks like?
Yeah, so basically, like something that I've noticed how neurodivergent folks, and I'm saying that broadly intentionally because I think it applies to anyone that identifies as neurodivergent, and that can be whether it's because of trauma or because of any number of different experiences. But typically we experience trauma throughout our lives, and usually starting at a very young age, and we're constantly questioned or like corrected. We're like always getting those like little micro corrections, or being told that the way that we naturally operate isn't the right way and we need to fix that. So we're being told that we're the problem. That's what we're like conditioned to believe. Usually by the time we reach teenage or adulthood, that's like solidified for us. So what I do in my work is I really try to help folks to reconnect with their own, and like rebuild their own self-trust within themselves. And part of that is fostering self-compassion in the process and learning how to be kinder to themselves and not take on everything as their fault or it's their responsibility to like take ownership and fix things. Because a lot of times it's our environments that can and should be able to adapt in ways that feel more supportive for us rather than us feeling like we have to change. And so that's a challenge that I see in the vast majority of my clients. But another kind of piece to that, people sometimes want to learn how to cosplay as neurotypical. And I've noticed that sometimes people will come to me, especially during our first discovery call, and I'm hearing them say all of those buzzwords, like they want to be more productive, they want to get stuff done, they want to be able to focus, like all of these very like hustle oriented terms. And if I'm noticing them saying that a lot, I always have to reset a little bit with their expectations and be like, hey, I hear you. And I totally get like why you want to focus on goals and why you want to get stuff done. But we're going to be really focusing on building that self-trust again, reconnecting to yourself, and building self-compassion. And in the process, a really natural byproduct of having a more supportive life is going to be like, you're going to be able to actually work toward your goals, and the motivation is going to be there. It's going to be more intrinsic because you're actually focusing on stuff that matters to you and that's important to you. So it's just easier. I just want my clients to have a life of ease, and pretending to be something that they're not is not the way to do that. We've been doing that now for who knows how long, and it's not working. So we have to take a different approach. Yeah. I hope that answered your question.
It did. That was really great. And then specifically, so when someone comes to you, what's a behavior they have? Like you mentioned the buzzwords, but is there something, because that might be hard, something people can recognize, like, oh, I've seen someone do that, or I do that. And then what's the transformation that occurs when they start to understand that they can trust themselves and they can have some self-compassion?
Yeah. So a big, like I'll say kind of a big example that I see of this is folks will come to me and it'll be very clear that they're very unhappy with whatever they're doing for work, whether that's the industry they're in or the company they work for. They're done. They're burnt out. They're over it. And they don't feel like they have any other options. So a big transformation I'll notice is a lot of my clients will end up making those big, scary steps, like quitting their job or switching industries. And that's definitely not, I like to call myself a job quitting advocate. I like to joke about that, but that's not like what I'm trying to convince people to do. It's just kind of a natural thing where they're like, oh, I'm noticing I'm self-abandoning a lot in this position. This actually doesn't feel supportive for me, even if I'm making good money, or even if, there are certain things that I can convince myself make it worth it. If I'm constantly just trying to convince myself of that, maybe there's something else out there that feels more aligned for me.
Yeah.
So a lot of it's focusing on alignment, helping them to see what their values are and what alignment might even look or feel like if that's something they've never really experienced before.
Yeah.
So those are the big ones, but another kind of a smaller, more subtle change, because we focus a lot on at the beginning of every coaching session, I ask them if they have any wins they want to share. Those can be big, exciting, scary wins, or they can be the smaller kind of noticing things or building awareness, that kind of stuff. And so a lot of folks will come to me, neurodivergent people, I'm going to generalize here really quickly, but a lot of us are really funny. And part of the way that we express our humor sometimes is by being self-deprecating.
Yeah.
And that's something that stood out to me a lot as an indicator of kind of where someone's headspace is and what their world might feel like. That's usually an outward expression of some negative self-talk that they experience. And so I try to help them build awareness around, when is that coming up? Is there a better, a more supportive way that they can reframe whatever they're thinking? And also just speaking more positively out loud about themselves rather than putting that out into the universe of well, I'm just an idiot, typical Neely kind of thing. That's reinforcing something subconsciously for us. So I'll notice that start to shift. They'll catch themselves during the session being wait, I'm trying my best. I'm just doing my best and it'll all be fine. That's a really cool thing to watch happen in real time.
Yeah, that is. I love that too. I really feel that. One thing you talked about too is that you wish more people understood that coaching doesn't have to be about learning to adapt to things that are maybe causing you harm, but that it can also be, and specifically with your focus being neurodivergent folks, about liberation and finding a way to show up as yourself and build a world that actually works for you, as well as a business. Can you talk more about that?
Yeah, of course. So a big piece of this, you'll hear me saying a lot of these words with self-blank, self-trust, self-compassion, self-abandonment comes up really often. So when I'm talking about this self-abandonment, it comes up whenever I notice that my clients are people pleasing a lot. They are not really making decisions that seem aligned with not only their goals, but also their values and the things that are important to them. And what I really try to impart on my clients is that there's nothing inherently wrong with them as a person and as the way that they naturally think and operate. I want to try to challenge that belief that they're the problem, because I genuinely don't believe that they are. I genuinely believe that all of my clients have so many wonderful skills and strengths to show to the world. And it's not about your output or what you're able to accomplish. You're already worthy exactly as you are. Whether you're accomplishing or like creating stuff or not, just you existing makes you worthy. And so I try to kind of like distill it down to like that. We start there. Like I'm constantly reminding them of that during sessions, because that repetition can be really important too. And so I think that folks sometimes kind of hope that when they come to me, I'm going to be able to help transform them into some mythical, perfect version that they hope that they can one day become. They're already that, like, they're already that perfect version of themselves. It's really just eliminating, like working to eliminate friction in their lives, whether that's personal, professional, all of it, and figuring out like ways to approach things that just feel more supportive for you, whether that means having more accommodations that feel supportive, or getting like eliminating people from your life who are draining your energy or pulling you down. There are often times where I'll have entire sessions that end up being dedicated to, hey, I have this friend who I don't even know if I want to be friends with them anymore. They're like XYZ is happening and it doesn't feel good. And it's a lot of just me being like, if that relationship isn't feeling supportive anymore, or if it's holding you back, it's okay for you to make the choice to let go of it. They already played the role that they needed to play in your life, and it's okay to move on from that. So yeah, it's a lot to like, we can cover a lot in a session, but it's I love this work so much. It's so cool that I get to do this for a living.
Yeah, I feel that. I'm right there with you. And I feel like similarly when I work with business owners, I'm all about tools and tactics and strategy. And you have to start, in my opinion, from the way that you're doing it, and your way is good. That's fine. You don't have to be something different. Like you got here because you discovered something or you persevered, and now maybe you're scaling, so you want to find a way to do things a little bit differently. But if you like you said, if you're abandoning yourself, or you're trying to be someone you're not, then I'm like, no, come back here. Like I don't know if this ever happens for you, but sometimes I feel like I end up fighting my clients for their vision.
Yeah.
And I get that you're exhausted, probably because you're trying to do something that isn't right for you. So let's figure out what that is and not give up on this other thing that actually matters. And then if you need a tool, that's great. Like maybe, an audio transcriber so you don't have to take notes, or, like there's lots of things. But when it comes from that place of trusting your vision and trusting yourself, then it opens you up instead of confining you, in my observation. So.
Yes, I absolutely agree with that. It's like, in theory, sure, you could come to me and ask me what tools I use or what like systems I use. Just because something might work for me is no indication of whether it might work for you. And getting to like the root of how are you naturally inclined to operate? And we try to figure that out together. I'm not just going to see it in you. We have to like suss that out together, which is a very collaborative process. And then once we know that gives us a foundation of like, okay, are there tools that already exist? Do I need to build my own tool? Like what kind of systems are out there to explore? And it's always experimentation.
Which is so fun.
Always.
Speaking of which, something you talk about that I totally am on board with is prioritizing fun and alignment in your entrepreneurship. And I think that's true for everybody. Playfulness and joy are such motivating and powerful experiences in general, and they really help to make the day go better, and they build collaboration. How do you encourage people to prioritize that?
I think part of a big portion of how I encourage that is by modeling it. Honestly, for myself, I try to model that in my business in every aspect. So like, this is kind of like a silly example, but it's true. Am I allowed to curse on your podcast? Okay. So on a platform like LinkedIn, I'm very active on that platform, and I feel like me shit posting on LinkedIn of all places is part of how I draw people in. It's part of how I post things that are only for the purpose of being relatable or for being funny. And it's a part of how like I try to impart joy onto others throughout their workday, and then I get joy in return. So that's like an aspect of it, is just me modeling that and showing that I'm having fun in any of the events that I'm hosting. And also just being more like very honest about stuff that I struggle with too. That's also a part of it. It's not just all fun and games, right? But yeah, so it's like whenever I'm working with my clients in session, another way that I'll try to encourage that joy and that fun aspect of things, whenever I notice them trying to kind of justify something that they're doing or trying to explain to me why it's worth it or something like that, I'll kind of have them pause for a second, and I'll be like, do you like doing this? Or do you want to do whatever it is that you're striving to do? Is that something you actually want to do? Or is that just something you have been told over and over again that you should do?
Right.
And just that simple question gets their wheels turning, and they're kind of like, wait a second, I don't want to do this. And then we can figure out, okay, why is that? Is there a way to make this something that's fun for you? And if we can, awesome. Like, everybody wins, right? But if there is not a way to make it fun for you, there might be just another approach you can take instead, or we can just toss it in the bin, like, and go in a different direction. So it's really, I think that experimentation aspect too is a big piece of it. Like, I tell people that everything we're doing is just an experiment. You're not locked in to anything. We're just seeing what feels good.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of it's like that language too, just really always bringing it back to that as a foundation.
I can see why that would be really effective. What does success look like for you?
Success for me is a life of ease where I have an abundance of time, and honestly, joy. I think success for me is eliminating the Sunday scaries, which I feel like as soon as I took the leap to becoming a coach and starting my own business, Sunday scaries, like if those start to show up for me in any way at all, that's a signal that something, I need to address something. But it's so much, it's so much more rare now than it ever was prior to me starting my business. So that's an indicator for me. Just looking forward to anything that I do that I put into the bracket of work for me. I want to be able to look forward to all of that. And I do. So that's a really cool, like, I'm not rolling in money, and that's not what it's about. I feel a lot of abundance in the work that I do. And I think that's success to me.
Love that. What's your least favorite piece of business advice? The one you'd ban if you could.
Okay, I'm gonna call something out here.
I'm ready for it.
And I don't mean this as a dig at any particular person. I just want to say,
Mel Robbins.
Yeah, right. No, but I am not an email person. I don't like emails. I don't like responding to them. I don't like checking them. I always do. Don't get me wrong. It's like a necessary evil, but I don't want, like, I have no interest in having an email newsletter.
Right.
And that's something that has like regularly been drilled into me since I started my business. Oh, you need to be owning your audience, as they like to say. You need to be like collecting emails. There's all these sketchy ways that you can covertly collect people's emails and force them onto your email newsletter. That's such a huge pet peeve of mine. If like I sign up for something and they didn't tell me they were also going to sign me up for their email newsletter, I'm like, that's rude. Like, you need consent for that kind of stuff. And so all of this, I just imagine like everybody's inboxes constantly just overflowing with stuff that they're never going to catch up on that stuff. So I'm a huge fan of unsubscribing. If I've ever subscribed to anybody's thing because I want to support them, I will eventually unsubscribe, and it's never personal. It's always just, I'm done with this. I can't. And so what I've found with that, I tell people that I don't like emails, and I send out very seldom. I'll send out emails just to like give people a heads up, and that's the only way I can make sure to reach all of them. But I don't have a newsletter. And so I've been exploring these other platforms that almost take that legwork away from you, of like putting together a newsletter, like Substack and Patreon, for example. Whenever I post something, I can just act like I'm kind of posting on social media like I normally would. And then they get an email, or they can opt out of getting the emails, but still they can still check my stuff and see what I posted whenever it's their choice to do that.
Right.
So yeah, I challenge this idea that we like have to have emails and we have to constantly be in people's faces in order for them to remember that we exist. Even as someone with ADHD who forgets that people exist a lot, there's still people that come into mind to me whenever I think about certain types of work I might need help with and things like that. I just want people to naturally think of me when, if they identify with my content and with what I'm doing, whenever they're ready for coaching, you know.
Sense. What advice would you give your 18-year-old self?
Oh, this feels very timely for me in my life right now.
Because you're 19. No.
Yeah, because I just stopped being 18 yesterday. No. I would say, so I've been doing a lot of like inner child and inner teen work, like in therapy and just in life, especially this year in particular. I would tell my 18-year-old self that she's not going to work at Sonic Drive-In for the rest of her life. That's where she was working at the time. And that throughout her 20s, that's going to be an opportunity to experiment and fuck up and like figure things out, but it absolutely will get better. Like, I want her to know that, like, don't worry, it will get better. It's not always going to be this tough. You're going to find yourself when you least expect it. And everything's going to end up working out. And I truly feel that now. And I think she needed to hear that from a trusted adult at the time. That would have been nice.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a really strong and powerful message. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you for asking me that question.
Yeah. What's something that you're excited about in your business?
So I'm excited about a lot of things, but I'm excited to continue with getting more one-on-one coaching clients. That's really just kind of where I feel the most aligned, is when I'm doing the one-on-one coaching. So that I'm also feeling very inspired and creative right now. And so that means I've been wanting to write more. So I've been yapping it up on Substack a lot lately. I hope to continue to grow on TikTok and YouTube. I also have a podcast of my own called Intentional Oversharing, where literally the point is just for me to either help like externally process my own experiences and thoughts, or to have guests on and we just talk about whatever their heart desires. Basically, just the main kind of through line with that is neurodivergence. Like everything kind of ties back into that. So I'm excited about all of those things. I am working on a Patreon page, TBD on that. And then I'm collaborating with another coach and content creator named Haley Honeyman right now. We have a group coaching offering where we meet every Wednesday, and we've been offering like workshops and stuff like that. Both of our main niches are ADHDers. And so I'm really excited about that. I can tell that is growing. And we're doing some really cool stuff and have some really cool ideas for the coming months. So I could just keep going on, but I have a lot to be excited about and to look forward to. Yeah.
I love that. Well, for folks that are listening, how do they learn more, follow you, get in touch? It sounds like they should tune in for Patreon and maybe get on an email newsletter in the meantime.
Yeah,
it's a good thing you're not here.
Right after this.
It's like...
Yeah.
Anyhow.
It's funny. Yeah, it's like right as soon as we wrap, I'm going to go start an email newsletter and totally dive into that. No, you won't be getting emails from me. But so I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on TikTok, I'm on YouTube, Substack. I am on Patreon. It's just not fully realized yet, but you can find me on there. And I also just want to mention I have a couple of free offerings that are a really cool way to kind of get to know me and get to be a part of my community. I have a book club, Weird and Wired book club. My website is weird-wired.com. So you can find out about my book club on there. We're going to be starting a book called Rest is Resistance in January, which is such a good one. And then we meet weekly for that book club. It's really great. And then I also host body doubling sessions, virtual body doubling sessions every weekday morning from 9 to 10 a.m. Central Time. And that's just a really cool space. Like, you can, with any of my events, you just show up exactly as you are. You don't have to be any certain way or engage any certain way. It's there for you to use however feels most supportive to you. So those are a couple of ways you can connect with me. And yeah,
Wonderful.
Come check me out.
Well, thank you so much for chatting with me today, and I really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. This was great. I really appreciate it too.
Ta-da. Thank you for tuning in to Business as Unusual. Remember, in this ever-evolving world of modern business, it's not about fitting in. It's about standing out. See you next time. Stay curious, stay innovative, and always keep it unusual. I hope you enjoy the show. I love making it. If you did enjoy it, consider hopping over to the review portion of the platform you listen on and letting other people know about it. Or share the episode or the entire show with a friend or subscribe to the show. Definitely reach out, get on my newsletter, follow me on social media, and let me know what you like, what you don't like, and what you'd like to see in the future. Well, we love our guests. Appearance on the Business as Unusual podcast or any Bicurean consulting production is for information purposes only and is not to be considered an endorsement of their business practices, or character. Please properly vet anyone you find through this podcast and generally before you do any business with them. Thank you for listening.